that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
Welcome in to Southwest Bias, the only debate show with actual consequences. We got a banger for you guys today. Let's meet our master debaters.
Today's matchup, Shaun versus Saul.
Guys, I want a clean matchup today. Please.
No promises.
Please, no talking after your time has run out. And please, be nice to each other.
I always follow the rules, Shane.
As much as you can. Let's get into round number one. All right. This was a heated debate in the All City Slack. Who is the most overrated athlete of all time? Shaun, we'll start with you.
If you know me, you know the answer, and it's the right answer. It's Derek Jeter. Now, I got a question for you. When you think of Derek Jeter, what do you think of? What are the kids growing up playing baseball in the 2000s? What are they imitating? It's that stupid jump throw, which is cool on its face. But when you get into the numbers, the reality is that jump throw is a normal throw, a normal play for any real shortstop. You look at the numbers, Derek Jeter is a negative 9.4 WAR. Do you know where that ranks among shortstops all time? 499th. 499th. And this is a guy who is famous because of his defense. He is overrated not only because he was not actually good at defense, he was a solid hitter, but he played for the most overrated franchise in modern sports. A team that has won one ring in this century in 2009 and has done really nothing else. They're about to choke in the playoffs right now. Derek Jeter is an overrated athlete. He was a bad owner as well. But the only right answer here is Derek Jeter.
Wow. Okay. Well, they weren't overrated when the Yankees, when he was playing for the Yankees in the thrive of their like run from '98 to like 2002. And Derek Jeter, everybody knows Derek Jeter is a mid shortstop. Everybody knows that. The reason why Derek Jeter is great is because number one, he was one of the most clutch athletes of all time, and number two, his instincts were off the charts. Notable. When he made that defensive play against Oakland, which should have never happened, and no other player in baseball history would have done that. But I digress. We're talking about one of the most clutch athletes in Derek Jeter. I'm going to talk about my overrated athlete, which is Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya gets so much love for being one of the greatest fighters in the history of boxing, for never beating anybody worth a damn, ever. Except for Julio Cesar Chavez, the original, not Junior, because he's a wash. The first time he fought Julio Cesar Chavez, he beat him by a decision. The second time he fought him, he dismantled him. But Julio Cesar Chavez was like 80 at that point. It didn't matter. You know who he didn't beat? He didn't beat Mosley. He didn't beat Mayweather. He didn't beat Hopkins. He didn't beat anybody worth a damn. 6 of his losses were all contenders and all thought of to be the best in the sport at one point in time. He got dismantled by Pacquiao as well. To me, Oscar De La Hoya is by far the most overrated athlete of all time.
I hear you, but in order to be the most overrated athlete, you also got to be rated. And I can promise you that, especially in this country, there's far more people that know and care about Derek Jeter than Oscar De La Hoya. So he's going to be overrated for that reason. You mentioned the heyday of the New York Yankees. That team, they won 2 rings at the end of the 90s, and then they won 1 this century. They lost to the A's, or the Braves in 2001, or the D-backs in 2001, obviously. And then you mentioned that one play he made that no one else could have made. I can promise you a lot of the third basemen in baseball, or shortstops in baseball right now, could make that play. You look at the Braves game last night, you had Austin Riley make damn near the same play running into the tarp. Derek Jeter, good baseball player, undoubtedly, but people act like he's the greatest shortstop of all time, and he's honestly wasn't even the greatest shortstop on his team. That was Alex Rodriguez.
You've never seen a flip throw ever before in your life. Ever. Never. It's never happened. He's the only one to ever pull that off. And in the moment where they were on the ropes against an Oakland A's team who set records for a winning streak in that season, It was unbelievable. And it saved their season, and it launched them and propelled them to the World Series, where he had another clutch, at bat, winning Game 5 at the end. So, spare me the details about what they didn't win. They won a lot with him, one of the winningest athletes of all time.
All right, chat, just a reminder, we open up voting. You guys decide who wins this matchup. We'll open that up at the end of the show. But for now, let's get into round number 2. ASU Football. Mr. Trenton Bourget came in and led a huge win over ranked Washington last Saturday. Now they got a bye week. Who should start, Emory Jones or Trenton Bourget? But for today, we're starting with Saul Bookman. Saul, you're on the clock.
All right. Well, obviously, I'm going to go with Trenton Bourget because, listen, Tucson product aside, doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what he looks like on the field. And he was efficient. He had 180, I think it was like 191.8 passer rating against the Washington Huskies, which is almost 40 points better than Emory Jones's next best effort this season. Even against NAU, and everybody wants to tout Emory Jones as this athletic quarterback and blah, blah. You know that his longest run of the season is only 17 yards, against NAU. Nothing Emory Jones has done on this field has been impressive whatsoever. He's been a decent quarterback, but what ASU needs right now is more than decent, because they lack overall athleticism, or overall talent, I should say, not athleticism, overall talent on both sides of the ball. So you need your quarterback, the leader of the team, to play at a high level. Emory Jones hasn't been able to come over that. He's had 2.25 games to be able to prove that he could beat a ranked team. And there's been so many flaws with Emory Jones. Going back to the Utah game, I'm literally sitting there screaming, there's a blitz off the right side. Emory Jones literally points to the blitz, can't make the throw to the hot route. Easy throw. Trenton Bourget, however, in one of his series against Washington, same exact blitz, hits the running back out of the backfield for a touchdown. That was Valladay. Trenton Bourget just shows that he is an efficient quarterback. He's composed. He makes the right reads, more importantly, at the right time, and gets the ball to the right player. I think Trenton Bourget should be the starting quarterback.
I love how you say Tucson bias aside with a smile on your face and clearly biased.
This is
I understand.
Bias, so.
Yeah, fair enough. I understand the argument for Trenton, but the reality is that he has been on this team for 4 years and hasn't started for a reason. You look at that UW game, for example, Emory Jones was 7 for 9 with a plus 80 QBR before he got hurt. He was playing extremely well in that game. That game, Trenton played well, yes, but that was not because Trenton is leaps and bounds better than Emory Jones. It's because Shaun Aguano and that team had a good plan, and they were playing against a really bad defense that had gotten picked apart the week before. UW's defense is not that good. If Emory had played that entire game, I feel pretty confident the same result would have happened. And you mentioned the games before. Emory, the week before against USC, 23 for 32 with 243 yards and, over 80 QBR. He played well in that game. He just so happened to be playing the best team in the Pac-12 and one of the best teams in the country. The reality is that Emory Jones' lack of production at the beginning of this year was not because Emory Jones is a bad quarterback. It's because he had a bad coach. Though his lack of running is because he was not given an opportunity to run. That the offense was almost entirely run-based and not quarterback run-based, running back run-based. Xavier Valladay was the entirety of that offense. Emory has not been incredibly impressive. I understand that. But he has played the Sun Devils have had the hardest schedule in the entire Pac-12 this year, and Emory Jones has not looked awful. The reality is that Emory Jones was a quarterback at Florida. He was a highly touted recruit. The other guy was a walk-on, and I understand that things happen sometimes, and walk-ons produce, and highly touted recruits don't. But you're overreacting to one performance, and it wasn't even an entire game. Emory Jones should be the starter.
It took Trenton Bourget 4 years to find the right quarterback to overcome, is what that all means to me. Listen, he left Florida because there's a phenomenal talent at the quarterback position in Florida. He comes to ASU, and he might get leapt on by a walk-on. You just said it, a walk-on. Like, this shouldn't even be a discussion how Trenton is even in this discussion. That's how bad Emory has played.
In my mind, it's not a discussion. Emory should be the starter. He's a better quarterback. He's done more.
All right. Chat, reminder, voting opens up at the end of this next round. Shaun, are you okay? Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm just choking on Saul's
He's
bullshit.
choking.
Oh, no.
Joking.
All right, let's move on to round 3. What's our final question? Obviously, a lot of controversy in the NFL. We saw a bad roughing the passer on Monday Night Football in the Chiefs game. We saw an even worse one the week before on Tom Brady. I think it's probably an overreaction just because of the Tua situation, but you guys can debate that because this is your show. What's worse, that or the unwritten rules in baseball? Shaun, final round. Voting opens up at the end of this. We'll start with you.
It's obvious. It's the roughing the passer rule. I mean, first off, quarterbacks are football players. They should be able to get hit. Obviously, they're the stars, and you got to protect them to a certain extent. You can't be just abusing the guys. But at the end of the day, they are football players. They signed up knowing damn well they're going to get hit. Like Shane mentioned, there's a couple recently that's last weekend that were just awful. You look at that Chiefs game, for example. There's the one roughing the passer for putting his full body weight on the quarterback, which what are you supposed to do? And also, it was a strip sack. It was a fumble, and he recovered it before the guy even hit the ground, and he tried to brace it, and the refs just were like, nah, it's a roughing the passer penalty because it's Patrick Mahomes. That's ruining football. You look at the other side of it, the unwritten rules of baseball, sure, some of them are a little old and outdated, but baseball is an old sport. Those have been grandfathered in. These roughing the passer rules are just new, and like Shane said, an overreaction to the Tua situation, but even before Tua, they were bullshit. You can't put your full body weight, you can't hit him too low, you can't hit him too high. It's a football player, it's football, it's a physical game. The roughing the passer rules are bullshit.
Honestly, like, I completely agree. And it's not even the roughing the passer rule now. It's the Tom Brady rule is what this has all come down to. It all started back in 2004, 5, somewhere around there, where the Patriots are playing the Chiefs at home, and somebody dove at the legs of Tom Brady, tore his ACL, curtains for everybody. Now you can't go low on a quarterback. You can't hit him up high. You can't even tackle him around the midsection anymore. Like, roughing the passer has become a flag football game. At some point now, it's going to be two-hand touch. I don't understand what this rule is all about because, again, to Shaun's point, and I'm going to agree with him, like, it should be a football player. He should be directed just like everybody else on the field. But because the quarterback is exposed more than anybody else, they get way more leeway to get hit less than anybody else. And it's a tragedy. As far as the unwritten rules of baseball go, the unwritten rules of baseball are for the old-timey, crusty people that just can't handle a bat flip and can't handle, a little shit talking. Oh, it's not in the purity of the game. Oh, you should just, shut your mouth and just run the bases. That is so fucking old-timey Babe Ruth bullshit that I don't even care about it. And that's why I haven't really even watched baseball that much in the last decade, because it's just so fucking boring. Let the guys have fun. Let them flip the bat. Let them act like they're about to get an alley-oop dunk after they come into the dugout. Have some fucking fun with it. But no, that's not against the rules. Like my guy from the Dodgers said, if you don't want me to hit a home run, go fish that shit out of the ocean.
Yeah. So I just want everyone to remember when they vote that Saul's argument started with him saying he agrees with me. So take that for what it is. The baseball thing, I have to disagree with Saul a little bit because the reality of it is that it has adapted a little bit. There are guys that bat flip and get away with that. There's a handful of pitchers, Madison Bumgarner, I'm looking at you, that have held on to this old bullshit. But there are parts of the unwritten rules of baseball that I genuinely enjoy. There are certain things that you can't write into the rules, right? You can't go hit a guy because their pitcher hit one of your guys. That is the kind of lawlessness that I genuinely enjoy. These guys taking things into their own hands and protecting their teammates. That shit is fun to me. Getting mad because someone bat flips bullshit, but it doesn't really happen that much anymore. The roughing the passer thing is stupid. It is genuinely ruining games. That rule needs to be fixed before it's too late.
The thing about the roughing the passer penalty is that it does go both ways to both quarterbacks. Now, some get it more than others, like Tom Brady, but it does go both ways. So both teams have a disadvantage in the same way. The unwritten rules just takes the fun out of the game, and this sucks.
All right, guys, we'll open up voting now in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to look to your right in the chat. You can vote there. If you're watching on Twitter, come over to YouTube and vote for the winner. We had a close one last week, but for now, it is voting time. Sponsored by the Deef and Lock. Guys, why don't you go ahead and tell the people?
I thought it was voted by the notebook because we both have notebooks today. So look at that. Yeah. Anyway, what are we doing?
The Deef and Lock. It's 2-1 in the year, which means that if you've been following the Deef and Lock, you've been winning money. Can I just say, this is not an argument, but to the last thing, why don't running quarterbacks get the same protection? Just want to throw that out there. Yeah, the Deef and Lock. Like I said, 2-1 last week, didn't win, but the first 2 weeks it did. And like I said, if you're following the Deef and Lock, it's a simple fact. You're winning money. So follow the Deef and Lock. I know we're going to have another one coming out this Saturday, I believe. Is that right, Shane?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I mean, the Deef and Lock comes out every single week. The Deef and Lock originated last year. Used to do these like every other show or every other day, especially on the bets. So he's been mostly right. I think. What's your overall record? Do you even know what your overall record is?
We have our overall bets record up on our Twitter. It's like 442 to 300 something.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. That's a winning percentage. So you should always listen to the Deef and Lock.
Guys, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. We got another blowout.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Boy.
I think I can just close the voting now, unless you have the record, Shaun.
PHNX bets is 448, 386, and 5. Since January 1st. So again, the fact of the matter is if you're putting a unit on every single thing Bets gives you, you've made money.
Yes, you have. And somebody made some money today. Who is the winner of Southwest Bias? Let's find out. Da-da-da-da-da. Shaun. It's
What?
Shaun in dominating fashion because 88%.
We've been new.
11%.
We've been new. This is what I do.
How?
Because your arguments were bullshit, Saul. That's how. Your last argument was, I agree with Shaun. I am going to talk my shit. This is what I do.
Get the fuck out of here.
Winning record. And enjoy being below 500.
I dominated him in the Trenton Bourget argument. Dominated him in the fucking first argument. Yeah, he gets this bullshit?
That's what the voters
Because you got a bunch of ASU stands.
You picked the boxer. Who gives a shit about Oscar De La Hoya?
Who gives a shit about Derek Jeter here in Arizona? We beat his ass.
Oh, Arizona, a city famous for not liking baseball. Come on now.
We beat Derek Jeter. Who gives a fuck?
Hey, you beat Derek Jeter, and he's still considered one of the greatest shortstops of all time. You proved my point yet again.
The argument. Nope. The arguments were for the show. It is now time for punishment time.
Punishment time.
What's the punishment today?
Oh, baby. I'm really glad I won this one. So the punishment that we had agreed upon was that the loser was going to eat their least favorite food. If you don't know me, I don't like chocolate. I would have had to eat an entire chocolate bar, which I most certainly would have vomited after. But I don't have to. Saul, what do you get to eat?
I get to eat a bowl of lima beans.
Yeah, baby. And Saul said he might throw up because of that. We'll be sure to share that video with you if he does. God, I'm so happy I won.
Fantastic. Another edition of Southwest Bias in the books. We're here every Thursday at 11 a.m. on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. You can follow Shaun on Twitter at Shaun_DePause. You can follow Saul on Twitter at Saul_Brookman. Follow me on Twitter at Shane D. Follow PHNX_Sports across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. But until next week, we'll see you later.